Yeah, well, what we're doing is calling on Foreign Minister Carr and the Gillard government to stand up for the principle of free speech and free press here by intervening and seeking an assurance from the United States that they will not try to prosecute Mr. Assange and WikiLeaks for their actions as journalists and publishers.
The United States, though, has really given no indication that they will be charging or intend on trying to charge Julian Assange.
Well, there are very credible reports, I think, that the US is already preparing a case. We've seen very worrying comments from the Vice President down that they consider this to be something that should be brought before a military tribunal. And if you look at what's going on with other people who have been involved in WikiLeaks, like Bradley Manning, for example, he has now been held for 800 days without even a charge being laid against him. I think there's a very compelling case for why the Australian government should intervene and make sure this doesn't happen to an Australian citizen and a journalist.
On the defamation case, do you believe Julian Assange has a case against Julia Gillard?
I'll leave it to the lawyers and the courts to decide whether Mr. Assange's case against Prime Minister Gillard is a good one or not. But I do disagree with the statements that the Prime Minister made. I think that WikiLeaks is a media organisation and they have done nothing illegal. And if Prime Minister Gillard has charges to bring, she should bring them in the court of law and not try to do them in the court of public opinion.
He's been locked up in that embassy in London for a few months now. What state of mind is he in?
Well, Mr. Assange has been locked up in the embassy for a couple of months, but I think he's most worried about what might happen to him and what might happen to the principles of journalism and free press if he were to be shipped off to the United States were he to go to Sweden. It's a very worrying principle, it's a very worrying idea to have a journalist and a publisher tried in a military court for treason or espionage just for publishing information that the US government doesn't want heard.
He's only mentioning one company here, MasterCard, and there are surely other ways that people could get money to WikiLeaks if they wanted to. Is this just interference or an attempt by Julian Assange to keep his head in the media?
Well, I think WikiLeaks have been done real damage by the Prime Minister's comments, and they're seeking justice through the court system for that. And I think it's really up to the Prime Minister, if she has charges, she thinks that WikiLeaks has done something illegal, to bring those in a court of law. I think that Mr. Assange is well within his rights to go before the courts now and seek justice for that.
Just on a different topic before I let you go, Alan Jones is claiming this morning that 2GB and those that advertise on it have fallen victim to corporate sabotage. He says that those involved in the online campaign to boycott the advertisers and his program don't have the right to cyber-bully advertisers or listeners. Now, GetUp is no stranger to online campaigns similar to this. What do you make of those comments from Alan Jones this morning?
I think it's ironic to hear Mr. Jones calling other people a bully. I guess it takes one to know one. But look, he has the right to say bigoted things that people find offensive, and they then have the rights to voice their objection to that. And we see this every time people get together and flex their collective power. They're called bullies. We have had GetUp members called bullies for targeting big companies before, and we're talking about grandmothers sitting at home behind their computer signing a petition. They're not bullying anybody. They're exercising their right to free speech.
Sam Mclean, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.